tell me of the Ascension Group?
The Ascension Group were a coalition of former scientists from the German Wunderwaffe program, and of course from Group 935. The scientists had all been issued together and were managed by the Soviet General Dragovich. The purpose of the Ascension Group was to push forward Soviet weapons development. The lead researcher was a Frederick Steiner, and his focus was on the Nova 6 program. He and the remnants of the Wunderwaffe scientists disappeared on the 29th of October 1945 near the Arctic Circle. Around the same time, the Soviet operation designated Olympus consisted of the 3rd Shock Army Special Operations Unit led by, of course, General Dragovich. British intelligence records state that MI6 had a commando unit in the general vicinity but refused to disclose.
Who was Yuri Gagarin?
Yuri Gagarin became the first person to enter space. He ushered in the era of human spaceflight. The rocket actually carrying Gagarin's Vostok 1 spacecraft blasted off from Baikonur Cosmodrome on the 12th of April 1961. He reached unprecedented speeds for human travel at the time, circling once before re-entering the atmosphere and landing back on Soviet soil. Yuri was only 27 years old when he made his first and only trip into space. Upon his triumphant return, he instantly became a national treasure, too valuable to send on such a dangerous mission again. The sad irony is that when Gagarin was finally scheduled to ascend to the cosmos once more, he allegedly died in a crash during a routine training exercise. Statues of him were preserved while monuments of Russia's communist leaders were being torn down. It was a year later that Richtofen would find himself at Baikonur.
How long was Yuri's flight?
The mission lasted just 108 minutes, and the trip around the Earth at 17,500 miles per hour, most of the way at least, took less than half an hour. In that time, Vostok 1 completed one not quite circular orbit at a maximum altitude of 203 miles, before slowing down to the point that the capsule was pulled back into the atmosphere for ballistic re-entry.
In this race to conquer space, what prevented previous missions from reaching orbit?
In a word, speed. In order to escape Earth's gravitational pull, a ship needs to hit 17,500 miles per hour, or about 5 miles per second. Before the Vostok 1 mission, no rocket was powerful enough to get the vessel going that fast. The Vostok 1 capsule's cannonball shape helped the rocket and spacecraft reach the necessary velocity.
And Edward was on board the Cosmodrome?
Of course not. Edward knew of the fate of the Cosmodrome. It's strange looking back at it and thinking of how gullible his counterparts had been. He was playing them for fools, but his American experiment, a Thomas Tank Dempsey, was slowly beginning to rekindle images of his past, images that Edward thought he had deleted. It was growing ever more obvious that Edward's position as leader of their merry group would be soon compromised. It would only be a matter of time.
Why would POTUS and Vibus not ascend?
When DC fell, he was there. Same for POTUS and Fidel. As for Vibus, his current whereabouts is still unknown. However, he is still alive, yet he does not want to be found.
They were men of honor?
They were. By the time the breakout in the middle happened, they knew they were done for. However, they would not rest until they had put up their last stand. Legend has it that John Kennedy ran around the communications room at the Pentagon for hours on end. They did not go down without a fight. In my opinion, I feel that the Cosmodrome itself was unimportant. I know that it only housed test subjects, all of which would have perished by the time that Richtofen had arrived. The only test subjects at the time were primates. To my knowledge, the Cosmodrome was destroyed during takeoff. It has no connection to Griffin Station.
I understand. This is all progress, Mr. Langham. In our next session, we will continue with a new light system behind you. This will only help you to focus on your shadows. Nurse, please give Mr. Langham his medication.